We're a family of Satanists. And we're being haunted for it. Let me clarify something to begin with. We're not devil worshippers, yet. We believe, my wife and I, that we shouldn't be praying a God to begin with. We weren't even sure we believed in the idea of a God in the first place. Until this happened. Our belief centered around doing what's best for you. Then doing what's best for others. Putting yourself first, that's it. And yes, the devil is a huge symbol in our community of fellow Satanists. Not because we believe in the dude, more so because the devil represents everything from freedom to rebellion and self-pleasure in every aspect of that concept. I'm sure you can imagine how we see God in our household. Other than that, we're an average family. 3 kids, 1 rebellious teenager, he's 17, loves typical boyish things, football, video games, you name it. Justin. He's a good kid. Mostly just acts out for attention, so we're happy to give it to him. Then there's Izzy, she's 14. Pretty independent, to a fault. Artistic. She draws everything that comes to that fascinating mind of hers. And yes, she can be cold, but she still calls me daddy and waits for me to tuck her in. Don't tell anyone, she might kill me. Finally, Tommy. He's adopted. And we love him just as much. He realized at a young age that he's intelligent. To an unsettling degree. He never tries to understand things, he just does. He's perceptive. The only kid that didn't believe in the tooth fairy or Santa Claus. He flat out told us what gift he wanted us to get from the supermarket when he was 4. My wife denied it. He told us, "I thought lying was bad, Mommy." She chuckled uncomfortably and went on dressing him. 4 years later, he's still just as strange. As for Miranda, I married her in college. We were in love pretty much our whole lives. And ironically, everyone in the church we grew up in saw us getting together. We didn't do it for them. We genuinely fell for each other in spite of their meddling and policing. The second we got out of our little town, St. View's, weird place, we built a home halfway across the world. A small town in the Midwest. And we've been happy ever since. We didn't raise our kids to believe anything really. We never discussed religion and they never asked. At least the first 2 never asked. Tommy had other plans. About 2 years ago, at the dinner table. "My teacher is asking us to draw what religion we belong to," he suddenly said, his honey brown eyes looking up into mine, then to my wife across the table, who puts down her drink mid-sip. Tommy never had a talent for timing. "Why?" Justin asked, barely glancing up from the phone I've told him twice to put away. Tommy shrugs before continuing, "So what's the religion?" he asked me. Izzy chews silently, picking at her casserole, adjusts her specs and blinked particularly slowly, waiting for an answer herself. My wife cleared her throat. "Well, sweetheart, we don't really believe in anything, your father and I." "You don't?" Justin piped up again, lowering his phone just a bit. "Why not?" Izzy chimed in, "How have you not noticed?" She deadpans at her brother. Justin's shrug is similar to Tommy's, and I immediately knew where my youngest got it from. "It's a personal journey what you choose to believe in," I decided to say, addressing all of them. "It affects a lot more than who you pray to. It's your moral compass. What you eat, where you go and who with. What happens after death and how do you honor those who have passed." "Michael. Honey. Wording," my wife said softly. "Right," I glanced at Tommy's curious expression. And then at how they'd all mirror it. It was a bit bizarre to see them so interested in the same topic. "It's a big choice, kids. And you should be allowed to make it when you're ready," I muttered. "So, you left it all together?" Izzy asked. "Yes," I responded, not hesitating in the slightest. "Grandma is religious," Justin pointed out, all eyes landing on him, "and Grandpa. On both sides. So, what went wrong?" My wife and I share a brief look. We knew this conversation would come up eventually. And I'll be honest, we never really discussed how we'd handle it, and I'm sure you can tell by now. We're drowning here. Nothing went wrong per se, we just didn't find it to serve us. It didn't make our lives better. That's not the point of religion. Isn't it supposed to give you structure? Or something like that? My friends' families are pretty ingrained in that stuff, and I think that's the appeal, Izzy claimed. Calm but certainly questioning. "We have structure," Tommy said, right before we could defend ourselves. "Rules. Morals. Bedtime. We have it all, so if we don't need it for that. Safety," Justin added, "they need that feeling. Matt, he hurt his knee pretty badly a few months ago. Twisted right out of place, and there was a strong chance he'd never play again. They loaded him up onto the gurney. I rode with him to the hospital. That was the first time I saw him pray." "How is Matt, by the way?" I asked. Part of me was trying to change the subject. He's better, Justin said, his lips tugged upwards. We don't need a safety net, Tommy continued, pulling us right back into our discussion. We have mommy and daddy. And they've always been here. They won't always be here, Izzy countered. It's a statement that turns the blood to ice in its certainty. But is said with a sadness that brought me an odd comfort. Silence takes over the table. A few more quiet bites are taken. The evening sun seeped through the curtains. A sliver of light illuminating my wife's brown skin. Her face is troubled and trapped in its beauty. Pondering everything that just happened. She took a small breath. Kids? They all looked to her. You're allowed to choose whatever you want. We'll support you. Anything? Justin asked, clearly skeptical. My wife nods. So? I can listen to the man by my bed? Tommy's tiny voice asks. I process my wife's reaction before gaining my own. How her limbs petrified, how her lips thined and her eyes widened just a bit. My other children unsure what to make of the question as well. Tommy. Sweetheart? What are you talking about? I asked him. Slowly. There's a man. At the foot of my bed. I wake up to him sometimes. He's usually there at midnight. Michael, my wife starts. Already standing up. Wait, I told her, focusing back on our boy, Thomas. How long has this been happening? He lowered his eyes, suddenly shy over my use of his full name. I never use it unless he's in trouble, which rarely happens. He hates it every time. But he spoke anyways. A few weeks? He says he's a messenger. Of? Justin urged, leaning on his side of the table. God. The weeks went on. And our house tried to creep back into its regular state. So did our family. We attended Justin's games, celebrated his wins with family trips, excuses to love our home, and nights to restaurants of his choosing. Izzy started posting her art online. He's gained a bit of a following. Although we forbade her to show her face until she was at least 16. She listened, having no real interest in people commenting on anything but her art. She's branched out. Painting, sketching, sculpting. Remarkable at all of them. Unjustly so. I will say. She had an eye for the morbid. I've walked in on her clay-covered hands on the large desk stood at the center of her room. There was a still wet statue of a man. Knelt with both hands to the sky. A cross in his vice grip. And beneath him, lied a mountain of parts. Human, animal, you name it. In exquisite detail. Every last crevice. Only blending into lumps where flesh naturally would in that circumstance. Tommy. I'd grown paranoid with. He slept in our room most nights. We'd searched the house. We'd search it every day. We'd installed security. And considered asking all of our kids to sleep in our room. Ultimately decided against it. Instead, I set alarms, checking on them twice a night. Even on work days. Mormus. Apparently that's the man's name. He doesn't have a name. He told me to give him one. So I did. Mormus. Why Mormus? I asked him, watching my wife pick a strand of blanket fluff from his hair, pulling him into her every now and again. It felt right, he responded. And yes. We believed him. Tommy doesn't lie. Ever. We taught him it's wrong once. And for some reason he took that lesson to heart scarily fast. He's the first to tell on himself when he's done something wrong. I'm aware we raise strange kids. But they're ours. And we love them. We'll be damned if anything hurts them. Mommy? Daddy? A small voice croaks out. Meek stood in the shadows of our bedroom. I sat up, immediately flicked on the lamp and took in the sight of our daughter. Our fearless, cold, morbid daughter clutching her own body to stop a shiver. Can I sleep here? My wife scurried from her side, tightening her nightgown and scooping up our child. She's 14. An inconvenience to carry. But Miranda was fiercely protective ever since Tommy's revelation. Besides, Izzy never gets scared. Something was very wrong. I got up as well. Into the dark hallway, right into my son's room. I know fear. Life is being afraid of losing something at all times. Leaving it to your periphery and hoping it'll fade. This wasn't just fear. A figure. I could only define as divine. Looming over Justin. Lingering at the foot of his bed. Its features vague under a shrouding glow. As if I'm not meant to see all of him. Or, her? Their entire body was draped with a pristine robe. The fabric wrapping it on itself in its abundance. Their hands were met in a gesture that could only be perceived as prayer. But not a single sound was heard. I remembered all of this. I remembered Justin laid on his bed in a deep snore, his messy floor and faint smell of worn socks. This should be his space and his alone. And now? He wasn't safe in here. So I grabbed him. And as I glanced at the figure, I noticed something. I could make out an expression right as it faded from reality into an apparition of my worst hallucinations. In their face, I saw annoyance, disgust. I saw fury, merging into the air around it, into nothingness. Dad? What's wrong? Justin groaned, tired eyes meeting mine. I dragged him right out of his room, ready to take on heaven itself. Mormus isn't trying to hide anymore. I spot them in the steam just outside the shower. My wife in the kitchen window. He judges her, flickering away his eyes on her with a purpose. My kids all had their own perceptions. Justin heard their voices, telling him to. Actually, he wouldn't tell us what the voices said to him. Izzy still makes art. Mormus makes an interesting muse at the very least. She immortalized his features in a statue in the corner of her room. Stood like a figure worth worship, but she claimed it reminded her of just how little we know about everything. And how much fear she holds in her heart since that night, how it has to be worth something, even just a singular piece of art. Tommy. He's more curious than anything. He's never been scared of Mormus. He named them. And even though I was certain their intentions were anything but pure, Tommy was indifferent to the issue of their intent. Just their presence was his focus. I for one was at my wit's end. I went from checking in on my family twice a night, to absolute insomnia. I would describe seeing Mormus as a true Amma. What were they? An angel? Something else entirely? And why our family? Why not the millions of practicing Christian families out there that would happily welcome the confirmation of their God's existence? Either way, I'm finding a way to get rid of Mormus. You're what? Izzy raised an eyebrow at us. My wife and I glanced at each other. Not really ashamed, but nervous. That would make sense then, Justin said over his shoulder, placing another clean plate on the sink. What's a Satanist? Tommy asks. Everyone stopped and stared at Tommy, who blinked at us blankly. So there is something you don't know, Izzy smiled. And the tension lightens into small giggles from all of us. Satanism is the belief that you can be your own God in a way. It's putting your needs and the needs of your loved ones before anything else, my wife coos, still smiling at Tommy's inquisitive features. So, nothing to do with devil stuff? Justin asked, leaning his back against the sink. Christ, you're stupid, Izzy sighs. Hey, I'm just asking here, Justin complained. No, honey. Nothing to do with that, Miranda assured him. Then why? Izzy's question trails off. She's unable to finish it for obvious reasons. She hates talking about him. We all do, except for Tommy. I guessed her question would be, then why are they haunting us? To which I'd say, I don't know, honey. She furrowed her eyebrows, looking back down at her sketch. Are we all Satanists? Tommy asked. No. I answer. Just your mother and I. Well, why not? Justin asked. He loves that damn question. It made him a curious child. Miles more curious than even his siblings, even though he mostly grew out of it. That simple question, why not, reminds me that boy is still there all the same. Yeah. I mean, most parents raise their kids with whatever they believe. It's only fair, Izzy said, still sketching away. That's exactly what we were trying to avoid by becoming Satanists, Miranda explained. You deserve your own choice. Well, then I'd choose Satanism. The words rolled off of Izzy's tongue as if they weighed nothing. Completely nonchalant yet certain. There's this knot in my gut. The sinking feeling that this is taboo. I'm aware of it. And even though, as far as we believe, it caused no harm, we don't want our kids dragged into a belief that might ostracize them. Izzy, Miranda starts. Same here, Justin agrees, tossing the dish rag over his shoulder, his arms folding over his chest and his eyes meeting his mother's then mine. Son. We don't want you to feel as if you have to. We don't, Justin asserted. If there's one thing you taught us, it's to have our own opinions. Direction. And Satanism has made you such good people, at least to us. It's the only thing we've ever seen work. And we want it too. Huh. Couldn't have said it better myself, Izzy grins at her brother. Yeah, come help me with these dishes, Justin rolls his eyes, turning back to his task. Izzy gets up from her seat, grabbing a cloth of her own and standing by her brother. They chatter, mostly about Matt. Izzy has always been on the nosy side, intrigued by her brother's love life. It's only then that I notice her sketch. It's of her brother, at the sink, his back to us washing dishes. It's mundane. And perfect in execution. Miranda's hand grazes my arm. Her eyes a tad teary, but her smile a wide as ever. Well. If you two are sure about. Mormus isn't gonna like this, Tommy whispers. I'm compelled to ask. But there's no need, he simply points. The sketch. The one Izzy just left unattended. I pull it to us. The mundane slowly swallowed by the silhouette. Just at the window. Not too far from Justin's shoulder, it's unmistakable. Our eyes all shoot up. Nothing is behind that curtain. Except the fading outline of our phantom. Izzy and Justin's conversation dies out. Their own eyes on the window. He slowly pulls his sister into his side, stepping away. Sitting right back to the table. Izzy doesn't say anything. She buries her face into her brother's embrace, then glances at me. Justin's eyes also looking to us. Miranda, Tommy both looking at the window with an odd determination. Everyone in this room had a strange defiance. As if in that very moment. We all made a decision. So, Justin starts, dead serious, clutching his sister against him. How are we getting rid of that thing? All eyes fall on me. I take a shuddering breath. Knowing there's a line of no return. And we might just have to cross it. I have an idea. Hit like, subscribe. So you don't miss part 2.